Ooh, I was getting nervous there for a second. Can you hear me okay? You hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, it looks like there's no need to log in. We just click on the link and then wait for you to start the meeting, and then it's all good.
Okay. I don't know what happened. I've heard that there's been a lot of technical issues dealing with Zoom over the last few weeks, so hopefully we're over it now.
Hey, we got some people. Michael Lumen. Hey, Michael Lumen. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Lori, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just doing stuff with the kids, but I thought I'd pop in and just see how it's going.
Nice. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah, I'll be listening. I'll be here.
Okay, sweet.
Hey,
Right.
it looks good today.
Here comes Danielle. I think I just.
Hey there, this is Kristen.
Hey, Danielle.
Hey.
How are you? Okay.
Hey, Danielle.
So we're getting there. Thank you. Whew, I was getting nervous for a second.
Yeah.
All right, we're trying to get everybody else in. So we're just gonna wait a couple of minutes. Let me see. Let me see if I can find some music, some nice music to put on while we're waiting. Okay, how about, oh, I like this song right here. Okay, here's another person. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Trying to get all the coaches in. Welcome, welcome.
Anthony, hello.
Why is it saying it's asking some people for a password, but not
I'm not
others?
sure. I just clicked on the Zoom link and I was able to join right in once you started the meeting. Like logging in isn't necessary unless you're a host, from what I understand. So I'm not sure why they're getting that.
All right, so what I'm going to do is maybe the people that are trying to get in right now, I'll send them the invitation.
Yeah, that would be good.
Well, welcome everybody. Sorry about these technical difficulties, but you know how it is. Sometimes greatness has to start with a little bit of chaos, at least in this world. What we're trying to do is change those things. That's why we're here today, just to have that kind of conversation. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the spiritual chat room. Okay, here's Dewana. Here's one more. Okay, that's one more person in. Hey, Dewana. Can't hear a thing, nor can you. I just see. Let me see. Where are you, Danielle? One rating. Admit. I just admitted you. Okay. Okay. More. Here comes Karmen. Okay, everybody's getting here slowly but surely. Welcome,
hey,
welcome, welcome. Danielle, let me see if I can get your sound on.
Yeah, there's Ka, there's Carmen. Looks like we're all getting in here now.
Ask to start video. Where's Danielle? Here she is. So if you're trying to add your audio, I think if you click on your screen and go down to the left-hand side, it'll say unmute. If you're on the computer, I'm not sure on the phone, there should be a way to unmute. So if you're in, I just need to hear from the coaches. I see Ka, I see Dewana, I see
I'm
Danielle.
in. Can you guys hear me?
Who's that? Who's talking?
Danielle.
Oh yes, I hear you now.
Okay, good. Finally. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late.
Okay, I hear you now, Ka.
Y'all sound low though.
We sound low. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Looks like a nice sized group today. I'm so excited. All right, so we're all in now. Oh, somebody else is coming in.
Let's see.
Yeah, really cool. They're coming.
Okay.
Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. He's playing a little bit of groovy music in the background, trying to make sure everybody's getting in. I'm so excited. Look at how many people are here today. Welcome to the Spiritual Chat Room with KSAI Institution, and welcome new coaches. And we're introducing a few new coaches today. We have Lori, we have Dee, we have Karmen in the room, and we're so excited to have you guys join the KSAI Institution as coaches. Also, we have our starting 5 coaches. Kai, we see you right there. Dewana is in there. I don't see Soli yet. Hopefully he'll get to log on soon, but we just we're going to jump right in. And I think we're going to have a great conversation today. Today we're going to talk about how it is to be spiritual in a religious world, especially now with all that's going on. Each week, every couple of days we talk, things have changed. Hey, Karmen, things have changed drastically from day to day, and more people each day are losing hope. More people are getting confused. I mean, I see both sides of the spectrum. I see some people that are like, we're going to use this as an opportunity to get right within self, and we're going to look at the silver lining in the cloud, and we're going to use this as a time to heal and heal the others around us. But then there are some people that are like, I'm not trying to hear anything you're talking about. This is awful. It's the end, and we're all gonna die. And so I guess the conversation today is, how do we combat that? When people have been taught a certain thing, and they can only believe what they see, and they don't really understand how to see the flip side or the positive side of things, or how they can make way through this transitional period in life, because life as we know is definitely changed, and it's really not going back to what it used to be. So we're going to have to make some significant changes in life. So how do my question to the collective is, how do we have these conversations? What do we tell people who it's so awful. I wish peace, love, and light to everybody right now. I just saw a story earlier where a young man, he was only 34 years old, he committed suicide because he couldn't stand being in the house on shutdown anymore. He was going stir crazy, and he winded up committing suicide. And that's just awful. That is really, really awful. But we talked last week in our first chat about preparation. If you're not prepared, then how are you going to know how to defeat or heal what's ailing you? If you're not prepared, then you're going to have fear, because preparation prevents fear. So I like to throw this topic out there to some of the other coaches and get some of you guys' view on the subject. And then if anybody in the audience, if you have a question, feel free to leave us a question in the chat, and we'll get to that too. But yeah, what do you guys think? So how do we heal people when they've been taught to believe that this is a horrible time, and nothing, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, or that they have to wait for this spectacular event to come back and save them? They can't can't do anything to save themselves. How do we get around this? How do we talk to people about this?
Mm-hmm. Dewana, you have to unmute.
Thank you so much, Lori.
Yeah.
That was another topic that I actually wanted to speak on, as far as people feeling like they need to commit suicide. Not only are we going to have deaths from the so-called coronavirus itself, if, we're to say there's actually a virus killing mass people on an epic level, if we were to believe that, not only is the virus killing people, but people are going to be killing themselves due to not being able to go outside. We need vitamin D. That's a natural substance for us to have serotonin in our brain to actually bring that joy, that happiness, that peace, and that understanding that we need. So we're not feeling a sense of loss, hopelessness, feeling depressed. And also, now that we're dealing with chemical substance to alter the brain, people were also taking a mask, but they were also going in the sunlight as well. So when it seems as though the masks were working, but actually just shutting down your spiritual gifts, but when you believe the masks are working because you're also able to go outside, but now you're still on those masks and you're not able to go outside to receive that vitamin D that was working with those so-called meds, now you're at an even larger loss because now you feel like the meds aren't working. You see what I'm saying? And we also have different chemical substance in the meds, and we also have aluminum in vaccination. So we can only imagine what else they're putting in the medication that you're taking, which also may be depositing certain mental substances in your body, you know? So right now, when you start thinking about, okay, well, I'm shut in, I'm not able to go outside, I'm not able to work, you can still stand outside, get some sunlight. You can step outside your door. You know, don't just stay shut in because they tell you to be shut in.
Well, and something that I think about too is with this isolation and this quarantine and things like that is that it has lessened the distraction for a lot of people within their own psyche. So there's a lot of people at home that aren't used to being at home and being isolated and away from all of these distractions. And it's causing a lot of emotional stuff that's been programmed in there for a long time to come up. And, you know, with everything so all over the place on the news, that is just feeding in to that, creating fear versus being able to just solely recognize the self. And so that's why I like to encourage people right now during this time. It's like, turn the TV off, play some music, you know, let yourself be creative, paint, draw, go outside, go for a walk. Like, you know, I mean, I understand that a lot of people, I mean, when we talk about being spiritual in a religious world, religion a lot of the time is based around the fear-based, you know, mentality. And so the outside world reflects that, you know, do as we say or else, you know, is kind of where that comes from. So it has a lot of people confused right now. And so, you know, I feel like reaching out and being able to connect with other people to go through all of this emotional stuff that's coming up for people, because you know, distractions are great for keeping us, you know, blinded from our true essence a lot of the time. And I feel that that's where this, like you were saying, Kalia, it's like, you know, finding the good and what's going on in the chaos. And I feel as though this quarantine is super beneficial to humanity because it's a mass awakening and we're able to get more reflective and get dialed in with ourselves because you know, when you're in a room and you don't have a lot of distractions, you have to face yourself at some point. And unfortunately, suicide is one of those things that can come from that. So, you know, holding space and sharing love, I feel like is, and letting people know that they're not alone is a big deal.
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely important. One, I was reading something earlier and it just brought to mind. It's so important. You know, we think about what's going on now. We're not supposed to shake each other's hands. We're not supposed to give hugs. We can't walk in groups. So how do we get to exchange energy? How do we get to exchange intimacy with people that you know, that we love, or people that we're used to building with, or people that bring us, you know, good energy? Same thing about going outside. We're afraid to go outside. Like Dewana said, how do we get sunlight to kind of give us that nutrient? You know, how do we get around that? And there's so many, you know, all, you know, even with the skills and the ideas that we have as coaches, we even run out of ideas sometimes. So just imagine people who don't know, or who weren't prepared, who had no idea that any of this was going to happen. They are at a loss right now. And it's pretty bad. So yeah, we have to be pretty attentive to what's going on around us and making sure that we are following the collective. Like, you know, being able to do stuff like this, like have these Zoom chats. Everybody can use it. We do have to be a little careful. They said that they've had some hacking problems over the last few weeks because there was like a 600% uptake in Zoom usage. And I understand, but you know, once again, there's good and bad and everything. And but the Lyft driver the other day was saying that his wife uses it to have a happy hour with her girlfriends once a week. So now, since they can't go out after work once a week and have happy hour, they get a bottle of wine and they sit around and they have their girl chat and they do a happy hour on Zoom. I was watching a young guy yesterday and he was like, pretending to be in front of the turntables, and he's like getting ready to turn up. As soon as the beat drops, they turn around, and like he has like 3 or 4 phones set up with his friends, and they're all like going crazy off the beat, you know, just like having a virtual party. So there are ways around, you know, what's happening right now. There are ways to the, you know, to how they're trying to pull apart and disconnect. And I, you know, I'm gonna try to keep this very high vibrational today, and try not to get too much into the details of what's going on, because we all know what's going on right now. And, you know, unless there's some specific questions that we all want to talk about, I think that it's more important. Let me let this person in. I think it's more important that we focus on solutions instead of the problem. The problem is here. It's not going to change. We acknowledge that. First step to recovery is admittance. So now that we all know, let's figure out how we're going to grow from it. You understand? So yes. So but yeah, so, you know, and this is what I was going to say. So one of the things that's going on now, as we are becoming more separate, is that they're taking away the fellowship time that people have. They've closed down the community centers around here. They've taken down the rims on most of the basketball courts around Philadelphia.
Wow.
They have closed the churches and stuff like that. So the places where people go to, you know, to talk to God, to find fellowship with people who are of like mind, to, you know, get away, to get some release, some energy, they're all closed. They don't have it anymore. So what do we do? You know, how do they? It's just everything's been taken, your freedoms, your liberties, and it's really nothing. And we can't, you know, rising up against the machine. It might be a little bit too late for that. So the question is, instead of trying to say, how can we stop this from happening? You know, let's go knock down the towers and all of that. We have to be a little bit more realistic. Say, you know, maybe somebody will do that, but, you know, maybe there's some other things that we can do to just counteract what's already going on. You know, for every negative, there's a positive. So what can we do if we focus positive intention? Because you think about that. How many of your parents, grandparents, aunts or something are used to going to church every Sunday, and that's where they find their happiness, or that's where, you know, in times like this is where they find their hope and solace, and they don't have that anymore. You know, how many kids are stuck at college and can't get home to their families and are scared to death because it's their first year and they're on a lockdown scare, and it's just them and maybe them and a roommate. You know, it's so many different crazy scenarios going on right now that could just drive people to all type of illnesses. So, you know, we talked about suicide, that being one of them. And it's just, I'm just a little overwhelmed even thinking about
Right. Well, the most important thing is being as optimistic as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though it may feel like you don't know what tomorrow holds, but that's our everyday life. Every day we don't know what tomorrow holds, but we're still supposed to stay grounded as far as being optimistic and positive. Because every day we face difficult situations. Every day we face different turns of events. We don't really know how life is going to be directed. If you reflect back from now to a good 15, even 8 years from now, your life was totally different from then and now. And at that time, you really didn't know which direction your life was going, right? But yet we stay focused in the thought of manifesting what we want and our heart desires, no matter what. We understand that this personal truth that we may be experiencing could be for the great awakening of ourselves, not just mankind, but ourselves. But as long as we stay grounded and we stay in a meditative thought to think positive, to see positive outcomes, to see our body being healed, to see a nation being healed, the universe being healed. As long as we stay focused on that on a collective level, and millions of people doing the same thing every single day, you can't help but have that breakthrough, because the powers that be that may be creating this event on so many levels, events are being created, whether that's for our highest good or the shadow selves of ourselves and our nation. But at the same time, we always have to stay in the mindset that things happen, and things happen in life that we can't see and we don't know the outcome, but yet we can feel the outcome in a positive nature. And I feel like if we keep that mindset moving forward. We won't be in a depressive, fearful state, because living in fear actually lowers the immune system, and it will cause you to get sick.
Absolutely. One thing I wanted to mention too, in thinking about, how we get through this, each of us, even if we don't consider ourselves a leader or the leader of some sort of tribe, there's some person that we affect every day. There's some set of people that listen to us, that believe in us, they hear what we talk about. And it's up to us to share these conversations and not be afraid to have them. And, be abreast of looking out for the people that you care about, giving them tips on health and how to stay mentally healthy, how to stay physically healthy. I was another thing I was reading today was talking about how when we're stuck in the house, all we're going to do is get fat because we're going to not eat healthy. We're just going to eat because we're home, and we're not going to exercise. And if we, and how is that gonna be sustainable and all those sort of, but I would, like the one that said, I think we have to do less worrying and more thinking about, instead of thinking about what is the bad that can happen to us while we're here, what is the good that can happen to us. So what can you reach out and teach your collective? What kind of support circle can you create to help you get through this? What people haven't you talked to in a while that maybe you need to be connecting with, that you can bring back into your life right now? What project can you finish? What book haven't you finished writing? What song haven't you sung that you always wanted to record? What podcast haven't you started? These are all things, and these are all suggestions that you can pass along to your collective. Somebody that likes to cook, remind them, tell them, listen, I could use that cherry cobbler. I haven't had one in a while, and you can say it in a way to just kind of give them some upliftment. You don't have to say, oh man, girl, you should start cooking again. It'll make you feel better. Just give them a little,
Right.
I could use that cobbler. I haven't had it in a while, but just to show a little bit of joy, a little bit of upliftment. Some of us are, I'll say this, some of us are able to take the hard topics. Some of us are able to deal with the hard conversations. All of us are not. And we have to be accountable for those around us that are not. It's a trying time. We don't have time to do what we want to do. We have to do what is right for the sustainability of humanity, period. Forget just us and our family, but just as the humanity as a collective. Imagine if there's 14, 15 of us in the room right now. If one of us right now went back and just took this conversation to one more person, two more people, that is what, another 28, 14 people per person. And that's how you start to change that's how you fight against the masses. That's how you change the thought process. You just spark a little flame, and you have to do it in a way that feels kind and feels good, because when people feel negativity and they feel pressure, they're not going to be open to receiving more negativity. So you have to be, positive. And another reason that it's important to have support too, because all of this light you're trying to spread, it can dim you sometimes too, and you need other people that can recognize that and try to help bring that out of you. But yeah, so back to the like I said, the thing I was reading earlier, and it just was talking so many things about ways to uplift the collective. And one thing you can do, like I said, if you have, maybe it's just the people that you have in your house. What are the positive things that you are talking about with them? I remember going, when I was little, and the older people would talk about prayer, and they would say, when three or more is together, that it's a more powerful prayer, and that the more can be done, and God can be reached per se in a stronger way when there are more people collected together in harmony with the intention. And I think it's the same thing. Like if you bring everybody in harmony with their thought process in your household, that also is a way to stay high vibrational, and a way to spread love and preparation. That's just my favorite word for right now. To other people in your area, maybe not in your area right now. Between all of us, we're probably all over the country, maybe even some of us out of the country. Well, just imagine if we're collecting here on the internet and taking this message back just to our communities. We've probably hit 13, 14 different states right now. There's ways for us to do this. All right, I've been hearing myself talk a lot. I want to I want to swing the conversation to somebody else. What are you guys thinking about? How do we work with our family and friends who have been taken out of their comfort zone and don't really know how to make it in this transition?
Well, one of the things, like when you were talking, it made me think about how, you know, being mindful of our influence and how we are influencing the people in our environment is huge. And I got called up a couple of weeks ago. I got flared up about all of this and everything I was seeing online, and my posts were not my norm. And I had a couple of people call me out, and they were like, Lori, you know, I haven't ever seen you say anything like this. And, you know, I took a sit back. I sat back and thought about it for a while, and I went through and deleted a bunch of posts because, you know, it's true. It's like, yeah, it's okay to express how we feel, but it's about like how we're expressing it. And I feel like I'm very mindful of the influence I have. So it's like, you know, I had someone tell me, hey, I saw a post from you and you were really upset the other day. And basically he was telling me that it made him feel lower vibrational. And I was like, and it was, so this is someone that I was in a personal session with. And so I talked about that with him, and it made me realize that, yeah, you know, freedom of speech and being able to express is one thing, but it's like, are we going to add to the vibration that's already there, or are we going to create a new? Because like you were saying, Kalia, it's like, you know, going and tearing down the towers and like doing all this stuff and like fighting the man and all that. It's like, well, okay, that's like one way to do it, but the fighting thing doesn't seem to work really well, right? So it's like, what can we do to create a different vibration? Because that's what I always say. I always say, like, don't pay attention to what's happening, create something new. You know, like create a new environment to be able to join together where it feels better. And so I like that you talked about that, because being influential, we're all influencing each other all the time. So yeah, what did Michael Luhman, he just made a comment. We got a couple of comments going on here that we could look at and see. I think he said something about being an example. And that's it. You know, it's like, how mindful of we are we of the example that we're wanting to set for other people?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Lori, I think that's really important. Leading by example. I mean, because your perception is everything. And of course, like us being in this setting, it holds us all accountable, right? I mean, we're meeting up once a week, and we get to talk about these topics. And then it also make you, you know, have a perspective within yourself, your true thoughts, your true feelings, and the true emotions that you express when you're around your family, your friends, and outsiders. So what we're living in right now is a true concept of that reality. Us really focusing on our emotions and how we really feel and why we feel those particular emotions. So having the experience of not being able to work and not really be able to go out, like Lori was saying previously, it do bring the opportunity for us to have the self-awareness. And a lot of people right now, through the darkness, they may also experience the dark night of the soul, but maybe this is the shift that needed to be taken for things to be taken out of people's lives, whether it's people, places, or things, so you can connect with self and divine source, you know. So even being religious or even being spiritually, living a spiritual lifestyle, you're still brought back to the focus of there's something higher than us, and we can't just depend on ourselves. We also have to depend on the love of others and the experiences that we get from others and ourselves, to really tap into the emotions, whether it's fear-based, joy-based, or love-based, to understand why we really feel that way and how we can use that unique experience that we all have within self to apply that to the moment that we're experiencing right now to become better people.
Yes, that's what, and Dee just said the same thing, going within, being able to stabilize the lower density thoughts. And that's so true. You know, just you know, there's a lot of different tools and techniques, and I'm sure we all have different ones being coaches, but you know, just real quick, it brought to mind a conversation I was having with someone the other day about forgiveness, and we just have to, we've been I'm trying to figure out a way to put it. You know, over time, you've been, let's just say you're given this vision of how things are supposed to be, and you're given this set of rules, and you're told that this is exactly how things are supposed to go. And then when they don't go that way, you're kind of at a loss for trying to figure out, well, what's it, you know, what did I do wrong to make it not go that way, or how do I fix this, or you know, what am I going to do? And we were talking about forgiveness, and the gentleman was saying, you know, well, how do I forgive somebody who has, you know, hurt me to the depths of my soul and wronged me and has no feeling of apology towards me? And I'm like, you know, one of the things that we have to do is rearrange the way that we think. When it comes to forgiveness, for example, if you've hurt me and you are not apologetic, maybe not even a nice person, why do I have to forgive you? Why shouldn't I be forgiving myself for feeling shame, for feeling guilty, for allowing you to trespass against me in these manners? If I can start to forgive myself, you know, because we a lot of times we wait and we wait and we wait for forgiveness, you know, for apology that's never going to come. And so to make up for this apology that's never going to come, we do a fake forgiveness and try to amass an apology. But the truth is, we need the healing. So maybe we should take that time to forgive ourselves and say, no, you don't have to feel shame. You don't have to feel guilt, because you're not the one who trespassed against you. What you have to do is know that, you know, it's not your fault, and you can't push yourself down. There's, you know, that's just one example. We have to be able to counteract some of these thoughts that we've been taught to think, in ways that we've been taught to think, because they are counterintuitive. I call it 20th century, 20th century education in the 21st century, or 20th century education for 21st century learners. And it's just not the same anymore. We have to look at things differently. You know, people think different. Life is, you know, everything in life has changed. You know, there are, of course, we stick to old school morals and values, but just our thoughts and how we connect with people are not the same, because everybody don't think the same. So, you know, that's just, you know, something that was off the top of my mind. But that's just to put out there how small, how minute, you know, just how changing something so minute as a way of you sorry, changing something as small as how you think about a word like forgiveness can really be a way to heal, you know. Or people who need right now, a lot of people are looking for somewhere to blame, or looking for answers that they're not going to get. So what do? Do you drive yourself crazy trying to search for these answers, trying to find this why that you're never going to get an answer to? How do you help people get around trying to have the answer to that why? How do you get around people who just can't seem to connect with what's going on, and that it's not going to go back to normal?
Well, for me, Kalea, when I'm dealing with the collective subconscious community, the minds, you know, the first thing I do, I go within. And when I go within, I project or emit my frequency out. So when I'm dealing with, you know, the everyday people, I emit my presence on them, and then I relate to them according to how they perceive their reality. Because in every perception, you have spiritual principles in all religions, all systems. So I speak to them in a way that they can be receptive to the diction that I'm saying after I project my presence. And this is one of the things of being spiritual, is not to become a product of the environment and make the environment a product of you. This is the role model. This is leading by example, being the light, projecting your energy, and being able to speak to individuals, to their minds, in a way that they understand. in a in a Christian way. This is the time for self-reflection, nourishment, and to become unified with yourself and your family. So, it's about being strategic, but first and foremost, it's about going within. But when you go within, you have to admit within you. You have to project that light, and you have to be grounded. You have to be in alignment, and then to be able to speak the proper words to individual minds. And this is what, because I do a lot of, every day I work and I deal with people, and this is what I seen success. I bring a lot of comfort to them by me using this type of pattern for me.
Okay, that's a good one.
And then I feel like it brings you back into the heart space of an empath, right? An empathic person or a person with an empathic gift, they're able to relate to people through non-judgment, right? So when you relate to a person through non-judgment, they don't have those walls up, and now you're able to feel what they feel. So in a sense, that's the same as admitting your essence to someone else, and then someone else will admit their essence back to you. So now you're able to break down those walls and relate to the person. And for me, it's the same heart space that you have to use for forgiveness, that you connect with other people when you are able to feel their emotions and their feelings and their thoughts. It's the same exact principle when you're showing forgiveness, because not only are you forgiving yourself, but you're forgiving that person for yourself so you can move forward. Because when you hold unforgiveness in your heart, it darkens your heart, it darkens your spirit. It brings malice, hate, and jealousy. So now you're not operating in your true abundance. So now you're not feeling worthy. And then you still attach that shame to you from that experience. So forgiving someone is way bigger than just letting them off the hook or making them feel like that, what they didn't truly wrong you. It's not about that. It's about the life experiences that you experience, so you can move higher in your spiritual growth, your spiritual levels, and your spiritual ascension process. And all that plays into different life experiences so you can gain the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding. Because through that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, now you ask your divine high source, which would be the Most High, or your angels, or your spirit guides, to help you release those emotions, release those feelings that no longer serve you, that either play a role of fear, unworthiness, or regret or shame. You ask for them to help transmute their energy into love and light on all life layers, all dimensions, for all souls involved. And then you ask to receive the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So when you see wisdom from when you see forgiveness from a different perspective, as though you mentioned before, Kalia, it brings the thought of the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that comes with the experience that gave you the gift of forgiveness. So now you're able to teach that to others so they can move forward in their life and they can actually grow within expansion and abundance of feeling worthy versus feeling unworthiness.
I just wanted to acknowledge Higher Learning said, I've been trying to encourage my fellow light workers to continue to keep their own vibrations high in order to continue to reach the warriors that are needed. Healers need support as well. Absolutely. And that's why we want to be able to have these conversations right now. That's why we're opening up the chat room on Sundays, because yes, we do. And especially right now, from one day to the next, it's like you woke up and it's different. Even though you feel like it's crazy, because being kind of shut in, you almost feel like you're living the same day over and over again, like Groundhog Day. But at the same time, you wake up and the world is different every day. So it's you almost feel like you're crossing paths, going in two different directions. And how do you manage, stay in balance in those sorts of situations? Once again, going back to I was, as you were talking to Wana, I'm just thinking again about that forgiveness piece, and how do we forgive the people who have ruined, per se. I'm not going to say ruined, because I'm all about that silver lining in the cloud and just trying to make sure that the people around me stay prepared and healthy. But how do we go about forgiving those who quote unquote ruined our way of life or ruined our world, or who have put us into this point of quote unquote chaos right now? As the collective, how do we go about forgiving them so that we can move on to a level of ascension per se?
Well,
I like to think of it like I don't know, instead of looking at like forgiveness, I think, because I truly believe in my heart that when we get that life review, we see that no one's done much to us, but they've done it for us. And it's hard to see in certain lenses, but when you can access different lenses, you know, I thank people that screwed me over, because in the long run, I know it made me stronger. And I know somewhere down the line, it was divine and it was meant to happen.
Right.
You know, so like, so
I agree
basically
with
it's like we create everything through emotion, not words. Like when we go to manifest, words mean nothing. It's the emotion that we hold with the words is what means everything. So when you break down the emotion, it's energy and motion, and all energy is meant to be changed or manipulated. And the way that you change or manipulate energy is through your thoughts or perception of the energy. You know, so and intention of the energy actually too. So basically, if you can keep, you know, your thoughts really clean, you can manifest really well. But the thing is, it's really hard because we do live in a world with the lenses that we actually have right now. It doesn't seem to be right, but it is right, and I feel it in my heart. It just needs a shift. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel where it's going.
Yeah.
This is the shift. I totally agree with you, and you know, and so that's the difference between religion and spirituality in a sense, right? Because in spirituality, you perceive the concept of that missing piece, right? The other side of the lens when it comes to understanding the true experience of manifestation, and it comes from the emotional part, right? Because you're told to speak the word, right? Believe and you receive, but that one piece that is missing is the emotional piece. So to pick it back off of what you said, that is very important in hindsight when you're thinking about the experience that happened to you, right? It wasn't to you, it was for you. So it's true, once
I
you
ended up learning
shift,
that.
right? Once you shift that, yeah.
I think shifting to the focus, shifting the focus to you're a co-creator. So there's nothing like I think that was Stephen that was speaking. Is that?
Yeah, it was me.
Okay. So yeah, nothing is done to you. This is something that you co-created with a large collective. And, you know, if you keep redirecting your focus on that, then the whole concept of forgiveness, you'll realize that there's really nothing to forgive. If you're actually here and co-creating with others this experience. So you come, one thing, you know, that I've learned and I've really embraced, now granted, I can't say that I'd embrace it as easily had I not have like an experience outside of myself, but the agreements we make are very real. To come here and we raise and they say, well, you raise your hand and you know, and you came here to have these experiences, and whatever you have, whether you think they're good, bad, or they're indifferent to what you really, yeah, right, I would never do that. Actually, you know, we did. We all do. And then as we go along, we co-create still. It's always choice. You know, what are we going to be reactionary? Or are we going to we're going to go within again, and from a heart space say, okay, I'm here having this experience, and that's the focus. I'm co-creating. I'm here having this experience to the point of redundancy. This is what you do often, because this is what you do until, you know, the fat lady sings, pretty much, you know, and that shift on earth at the same time happens. We're going to make that happen. We're going to make that happen when it happens in us. And the way it's going to happen in us is it can be in baby steps. It can be, that we could jump major timelines when we're really, man, I really got this. And then all of a sudden you jump to you jump a little further into whatever timeline that you're in this experience, right? But I think to keep coming back to what Duana was talking about, I think the point you know, that was being made was going back to your heart space, reevaluating, okay, you know, what is it again that's part of the divine? Oh yeah, I'm that co-creator. Oh yeah, no, I don't have to forgive that person. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna forgive myself for even putting that on that person, that energy on that person that said, God, you did me wrong, and now I gotta go back and work on this and try and forgive you. No, you know what? I just sent that person out energy that didn't belong to them. I needed to go within and work that out and recognize again my divinity. You know, that I'm the magnificent one. I'm the one creating this situation. I'm the one that said, I want to go through that experience and all these other experiences, maybe that they're lower density experiences that are going to be challenging to me, so that I can reach that enlightenment state in this form of what's, you know, this low density form of dust that, you know, that we decide to come in. I you know, so then you don't have the burden of God, how do I get over, you know, what this person did to me? And some of these things are you know, heinous. I get it. I mean, you know, I've gone through some pretty ugly stuff, and I'm sure people have gone through worse. But it's still the same for everybody. We all agreed to come and have this experience. Whether, you know, we want to compare, well, that one's really bad to the other. It's all relative to what we needed to experience to get us from this point A to point B of our enlightenment.
Absolutely. Thank
That's
you.
correct.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
Well, and you know, and the main thing, like I've come to realize is that to lessen my emotional attachment to expectation is I had to work on my ego. And my ego was the programming that I've been indoctrinated in my whole life that's been passed down generationally. And so, like, instead of fighting with people over and over again to get them to see themselves, I just started to be me and to lead by example, to be able to show that light and use less words and let my action, which is my energy, showcase that. And I totally feel that about forgiveness too. Like, forgiveness is something that we're taught, but it's not something that's necessary, because when you don't hold on to the emotional baggage of what someone else does, you don't need to forgive, because you're in an empathic place in your own consciousness where you realize that everyone has their own programming. People are reacting and taking in and sending and receiving energy, and a lot of the time it's on an unconscious level. So
there you go.
That emotional unconsciousness causes us to react to other people in defense.
Right.
And when you're past that ego and you don't need to compete, and you know that someone else has their own programming going on, it's just you don't take it on.
Right.
And
Right.
before I got activated and became conscious in my awakening, I was taking on too much, because I was seeing all of the dysfunctional, you know, behavior, and I was just taking it on and allowing other people to treat me that way.
Mm-hmm.
When I realized, like, whoa, it's not what they're doing, it's what I'm doing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so
It's that whole,
that's,
you didn't need that lesson of forgiveness anymore. You had advanced past that whole, I need to learn how to forgive. Because, you know, here you were creating different circumstances with your energy of where I got to learn forgiveness. Oh God, I got to forgive that person now too. Okay, I'm going to forgive that. When you got past that, I've learned, you know, that I got to learn to forgive part. You no longer projected that energy of bring it on to me because I got to learn how to forgive. You advance past that. Like, there's nothing really to forgive. You know, it's me going within myself and realizes that this was just a lesson. You know what? I'm done with that. I want to move on. And so when that ego, you know, that essence part of I need the forgiveness, that frequency that, you know, we vibrate on, and it could be any frequency. For now, we're using, you know, needing to learn to forgive. We're no longer vibrating at that frequency. You know, we're vibrating. I like to be vibrating now at this frequency of we're all a collective. We're all here co-creating. And do you like what you see? Oh, good. I don't either. let's create something better. Let's shift Earth, this whole, Earth 3D perception and all that programming. Let's just wipe that away, because we're in agreement that we like this over here. We want to shift 4D, however you see it, and or if you've had somebody that's been a nemesis, that seems to have been carrying this nemesis spirit, and I'm not talking about spirit woo-woo, but the disposition of being the bane of your life or that, but really you're already past that, and you're saying, listen, God, I did some things, and I was so immature. Are you past that? Because I am. Why don't we do this instead? Hey, how'd you like to go see a movie? Start vibrating at this level of I think we can actually co-create and actually learn something bigger than the experience that we had together as nemesis with one another. I think that's where I'm at, as far as the shifting into more of a collective co-creation of that's going to affect us, society, and worldwide, global, because this is what this pandemic opportunity is all about. I'm not saying that poo-poo on it, that's what all it's here for. Well, there's other things that are underlying. It's upgrading us physically, it's bringing upgrades to us spiritually. But it's also a way to align Earth and the collective of Earth on how we see one another, and how mindful we need to be, of others in many different ways, not only in the ways, you could have, but because they could definitely affect you. No. It's going way past that, past that.
That's so true. I'm even thinking about how many people I know that wouldn't normally just even do something as small as gaze at the stars, who are interested in getting in touch with nature now, or people who wouldn't normally want to do natural remedies, and they're like, can you teach me some of those herbs that you've been talking about? Everybody having a chance to, like you said, realign with nature and with the earth. It's nice, just thinking about how many cars are not on the street right now and how that's changing the air pollution. I saw a meme today and I was cracking up because it was like, how many other people are getting one, how did he put it? 1 week to the gallon or something like that. And I thought that was really funny, but at the same time, it's pretty cool because you go outside and the air smells different and it sounds different. It's like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's peaceful, and I don't hear a bunch of cars, and it's just different. And it's almost like forcing people to where everybody was the last couple of years were high anxiety and overwhelmed, and just everything seemed to be like this the last few years, and now everybody is being forced to just sit down and reflect and take time to themselves. And so it's definitely been a reset for everybody, whether they wanted to or not. And if you think about it, sometimes it's like that. Life, if we keep going, sometimes life is going to sit you down. You're going to run right into that wall, and you're going to bump your head, and you're going to sit down, and you're going to think about, what do I do next time so that I don't bang my head up against the wall? And I think that's kind of where we are as an existence right now. We banged our head up against the wall a little bit too many times now. So Earth is like, sit your butts down and think about this. It's time out time. So what are we going to do from here?
But when you think about it, like, I'm sorry, Laura, I didn't mean to speak over you.
No, it's okay.
Okay. But when you think about it, who's to say, considering that a lot of us start waking up before 2013, right? And due to the massive shift through the collective, in 2013, we chose the latter, the karmic experiences. So, and it was a 7-year tribulation through that. And 2019 was the year of revelation for us to go inward and actually start operating in our purposes. So who's to say, due to that collective shift that we had this January in 2013, because it was the same exact shift that we had in this January 2020 was the same exact shift we had January 2013. So who's to say, as a collectively, as a collective is just the result of us being ready for this new shift. And this is what it took for us as light workers, impact healers, as a whole. This is just part of what we were asking for. And we just hadn't actually recognized it yet as a collective, because in a sense, a lot of the shifting is to shift many people in a fear-based system. But who's to say that this shift isn't creating the shift to shift us out of that fear-based system?
Exactly. That's a great point. That's a really good point. Because the problem is, if you think about it, our whole existence over the last couple of thousand years has been based on fear mongering and fear, and scaring the people into submission, or scaring the people into I don't know, into control per se. And now as people are awakening, it's kind of like, hold up, how are you, control doesn't belong to you. So what do we do to get around that? And you bring up a very good point. It's like, at one point, the only way to stop the destruction of the fear and reverse it is to recognize it and say, you know what, we're not living like this anymore. And maybe that's what it was. We all kind of had to go through, as you call it, the dark night of the soul type of experience, and come out on the other side of it, less fearful. Because I know one thing, even as light workers like me, I never considered myself a fearful person until I reached this event in my life. And it was like, then you realize everybody has some sort of innate fear that they don't realize they have, and until you conquer that, that's what it is that's going to hold you back. And as a collective, it's just fear, and fear itself. It's not necessarily a fear of something specific. We just think about, if you're afraid of heights, and I'm afraid of success, and you're afraid of confrontation, and we're just all in here and living in fear, it doesn't matter if it's all about the same thing. We're all living in fear. How do we grow if we're all living in fear? We have to kind of resist that and live in abundance, and live in receptance. Is that a word? I don't know. I think I'm making up words right now. But we have to live.
I do it too.
and growth, and as Kai said, and emittance. Whatever your love be, whatever your word be it love, be it energy, be it growth, be it universal connection, whatever it is, you have to tap into that and be able to emit it. Because if you yourself have learned to control it and how to shift it, then it's up to you to do that and share that with others, so that they can be able to do the same. I think about one movie I always think about is I don't know if you guys saw Fallen with Denzel, and how they used to, all they had to do was kind of like touch each other, and it would pass the spirit on to the next person. It's kind of the same thing, but it doesn't have to be a negative way. You can look at somebody a certain way and change their day, and change their life, change their mind. You can smile at a person a certain way and change things. You can walk into a room and just say, hello, everyone, and just change the mood of the room. So, it's something so small, but if you have it, you have it. And I believe that pretty much everybody here has it, or we wouldn't be in this room together having this conversation right now. We wouldn't even be joining as collective, and we have to share it. Find what it is that you have. Is it a mantra? Is it an exercise? Is it a skill? Is it a talent? Is it a gift? What do you have? And be able to use it and share it to help lift these vibrations and help build the community and the collective, or your community and your collective, because, as one, as all. So, we're at 8 o'clock. I'm not going to keep everybody too long, but I do want to make sure that we touch our bases. I'm not forcing us out of here either. We're definitely on unlimited time. And I'm not one of those people who how to pass it, be like, yeah, I'm not gonna hold you too much longer, and then be here for like another 90 minutes.
3 years later.
So you guys, But I do want to make sure that we're all satisfied with the conversation here. You know, so if there's anything, I'm sorry. I thought I turned my phone on mute. But if there's any points or questions or comments, anybody else, anybody who hasn't spoken, maybe you want to say or bring to the forefront, you're welcome to do so now. Or like I said,
I want to say something, Kalia.
Yes.
So earlier you stated something about, like, you know, this whole pandemic that's happening in our society has affected, you know, the intimacy of people. Like I'm on the road every day here in Florida, because I'm a essential worker. However, what affects me the most, I am just a friendly person. I like to get close and talk, you know, have conversations, and it affects me when I'm not able to have that, you know, connection in person, or to touch someone's hand, or to shake someone or hug them. I'm affected by that greatly. So I am trying to work my way around it and not feel offended, and remember that, oh my God, okay, we're supposed to be 6 feet apart from each other. So I am just I'm trying to get used to that. It's really hard for me.
And Dee, you know, I'm sorry, were you going to speak? Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mama.
I think it's a
Okay.
learning curve. It's like a learning curve, because, you know, when you look at like our aura or our energy body on the typical person goes out about 5 feet, and they asked us to stay 6 feet away. And so the thing is, it's the connection. It's learning how to connect with people. Or you don't even have to learn how to connect. You have to learn that there is no space between us, so we're already connected. You know, so that's basically right there. Like I'm a hands-on, very touchy person. I like to hug. You know, I hug everyone. So it took a lot of thinking why it was 6 feet. Why is it 6 feet? Why does our energy body only go out 5 feet on a typical person? And that's what I came up with.
And you know, and I feel like we've had this training for a while, being empathic people. It's true, right? Because you do enjoy the embrace of others and the communication and the fellowship of others, because we work in that heart space, right? And that's part of our healing, to help other people feel better. And you probably feel like you're not helping other people feel better if they're afraid to hug you, right? To come close to you. So now you feel like you're not operating in the gift of healing or that heart
I feel like
space.
I can't feel them totally if I can't be that close.
Right, but see, when you think about it, you've been in the training ground for a long time, working with this gift, right? Because even when you help people, or you connected to people, or you can feel people, they may not always necessarily be right there where you can see them, right? Because think about it, if you're on the phone with someone, you're not right there with them, but you can still connect and you can feel their energy and their aura, right?
There you go.
So now when you feel that way, now you can reverse it, right? When you come around people and you can't really interact with them like you want, now you can emit your essence, your inner essence, like I was speaking of previously. And now you can emit your energy and your heart space out to others. And you can do that with a white flame, or you can do that with a pink flame, or a blue flame, or a purple flame. And that's healing within self. So collectively, on a massive level as empaths, that's another way we can emit our energy to heal.
Right. We're all connecting energetically,
Right.
distantly anyways, is what she's saying. You could be on the telephone, the person can be in another state, and you're on the cell with them. You're connecting with them distantly anyways. Just because you're hearing their voice doesn't mean they're 6 feet away, or like, God, you wish you could, do the more physical stuff, but that doesn't mean that energetically you're not right there with them, or energetically they're not feeling who you are as a person and what you're here on earth for. It's like she was saying, you've been in a training ground, and now you're going to have to flip your understanding and to this point, and this point being that this is just a form. Anything you touch, you see, you taste, it's just a form. It's almost a form of illusion. The only thing that's real is energy. Even the sentences that we speak, depending on what the energy is behind those words, will speak what the truth is. In other words, I could use an expletive all day long. But the way that I use it, if I use it in a, hey, you know what, F you, or F you, man, oh, F, fuck, that energy behind that word makes all the difference. And the same thing with whatever you're sharing with somebody else. I don't know where she went. I think oh, there she is. But you know what I'm saying? It's kind of, now we have to kind of flip it, even though we got to stay that 6 feet away. And we know, I mean, come on, we know that somebody could have walked by within like an hour and they could have had whatever they had. And you're going to get it. It doesn't matter if you're 6 foot away from the next person in front of you. It doesn't mean that person's going to give it to you. So this in the back of your head, right? And so it's kind of burning on you. Well, let's put those thoughts behind and say, guess what? I'm going to focus on what I came here for. And my purpose is to work with people and to give off this energetically feeling of good vibes and try and lift up others, in my course of work. That's what really matters to me. And that's what really, encourages me. Well, you can still do that. Just do it. You're just doing it 6 feet away, but that doesn't mean that your energy, they're not feeling it. It's just, once again, knowing that we're not to take these things personal. It's none of this is real anyway. I know it feels very real. This all feels very real. We got to be mindful of others, because others are still in this illusion that it's all real, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's in the illusion. We've got to be mindful of that and respectful of that. It's, in a way, we're respecting their beliefs. It's their belief. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that you have to change what you know about yourself, or you have to change what you know about your own spirituality, or what or you have to waver in what your spiritual purpose has been and is now. So I hope that helps, if that resonates.
Yes, it did, guys. Thank you so much.
And then, you know what? And so through this shift, right? Because you're thinking about your experience, how it affects you with other people. But now you have a solution. But other people who might not actually heard the solution, they might experience the solution, and the awareness might wake up their spiritual gifts as well. Because now, since they can't be close to people, now they have to find other ways to connect with people on that emotional level. Mm-hmm. So that might shift people into their gifts and wake up even more light workers as well.
Absolutely.
I agree.
You're bringing up such great points. Initially the conversation was supposed to be how to live spiritual in a religious world, and we've broadened up the conversation so much. I guess this is all a part of that living too. But this is such a prevalent topic now. I think no matter what we talk about, it's always going to go back to where we are right now and how are we getting through this. So it's very enjoyable. I encourage everybody next week to invite a friend if you enjoyed the conversation. It's only going to get better. And I just go back to that point again about making sure that you have a support team, and making sure that you are talking with and connecting with people of like mind and people who have your greatest interests at heart, and other people like us who you don't know but who are interested in doing the same type of work you are, because sometimes being around fresh ideas and fresh conversation is another way to help keep you going. I encourage it. Create a group of your own, join a group that you already know, and join a group with the people that you don't know, and so that you can still be able to have these multiple connections and be able to invite these different essences and ideas into your life for growth, because we don't know when we'll be able to connect again. Hopefully it'll be by the summertime, maybe it won't. They're talking about possibly taking passports now unless it's an emergency, so we may be stuck here with the real ID. They're going to be they're going to be checking us going across state lines, so no matter what we do, resisting the shot or the chip or whatever we want to, they're going to keep track of us one way or another. So instead of getting caught up in oh, I had these plans on doing this and I didn't get to do that, or why would they do this? Let's think about, where do we go from here? Are we going to start a garden so that we can eat healthier? Or are we going to take what we have and barter with somebody who has a green thumb and say, you know, I don't have a green thumb, but I can cook. You know, if you grow the vegetables, I'll cook them up for everybody, and I'll make sure to, you know, do the meal plans. You know, what are services that you can offer? Excuse me, these allergies are kicking my butt right now. Excuse me. You know, what are some, can you write, I'm trying to think some of the different things that you can do. You know, maybe you're a plumber and you want to do some work, and how, you know, can you find a way to like I said, exchange services, barter services, connect with the collective, so that you can start to find other ways to connect with people and bring them into your life and uplift them through their skills and talents and gifts that they have, you know, and not expect them to be who you are and know what you know or feel like you feel, because that's not their job. But just to be able to help everybody be great and being the people that they are. So yeah. Did anybody else want to touch on anything else?
Well, I just would like to say that we talked a little bit about this earlier, and that was acceptance. We live on a planet where it's controlled, and we have certain things that go on that feel bigger than us. And so for me, it comes down to accepting that we are on a planet that is controlled. And so it's about creating that microorganism, that microcosm of our own spectrum within ourselves and our environment. Like you say, like planting a garden and sharing and things like that. Like acceptance is a huge part of the reality to be able to have a more peaceful experience on earth, because we come out of the womb wanting to rebel. You know, we don't want to be told what to do, yet we're on a planet that does that. So it's like, okay, when we can see that we've got these two different things, right? Like the positive and negative spectrum of energy. So it's like about how we ride that slope. And for me, I find that it helps me take it all less personally, because I realize that things are happening the way that they're happening. And the best thing that I can do is create a healthy environment in my body, for my mind, and for those around me. And that shifts the energy so much. And this goes back, before we break or anything like that, I want to just touch on something. Anthony made a comment. He asked a question, and I'm trying to get it to come up here. He was saying, what are some hacks for, I'm not able to see it now.
So it says,
about,
any hacks on getting back into flow state, being around a household of lower vibrations. Oh man, and I think he's out of the conversation now. Darn.
Did he leave already? Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to touch on that, because that's like super important, you know, the environment that we're in, and not being around a lot of activated people in their awakening, and people still into the fear mongrel, and that creates a lot of negativity, or that vibration that doesn't feel good. So it's like, I have conversations with people about this all the time. Like, how much space do you hold for someone that's on a level like that consistently? And when you live with people that are in that state, and to be able to stay grounded and to keep your vibration high, that I find goes into the daily practice of self-realization.
Right.
And leading by example, and just doing your own thing, and letting everybody else do theirs.
Right. Just acceptance, right? That everybody's not on the same level, right? And everybody's experiences are different to get them to where they need to be for this lifetime, right?
That's
right. You know, I guess maybe I should have put this down as a little hack, because I mean, you know, everybody has you know, a level of awakening. And so if you're with a partner or surrounded with, you know, people in your household that haven't awakened, and here you're going through all of this awakening, and now you're sequestered, right? One of the hacks is boundaries, because I mean, you know, people can't go off to work as easily, and or you can't say, hey, you know, why don't you take a ride to the store, you know, or you know, to get a break. So one of the things that has really helped is setting that boundary, realizing that, okay, I'm going through this experience, but I also, you know, agreed and wrote in some of the experiences that I'm having with, you know, some of these people around me. You know, I wrote them into as an agreement, and, you know, they're in my contract, whatever it is. Those boundaries realizing they're having their experience. Okay, I respect your experience. Here's my boundary too. This is my experience, and this is, you know, this is where I'm at. And not debating about it, because in that everything just low density. It all really, you know, I mean, any type of debate creates a friction. You just, you know, agree to just say, oh, okay, well, great, okay, have a great time over there, you know, I think I'm going to go to the other room. You know,
Right.
without imposing or reimposing the same or hashing out the same, you know, that we're in 2020 and there's a shift, and you know, in the whole world, you know, there's going to be a new earth, you know, whatever it is that you know, you're in your awakened state, at the state that you're in, it, you know, we still got to be mindful of those around us, you know, that are closest to us now, you know, that they are going through their own experience. And, you know, believe it or not, not everybody is going to be making the shift. So we lead by, if we're going to lead by example, they're not going to follow you with words. It's the same principle. You got to go back within, and from your heart say, listen, I really respect where you're at, and you know, I still love you, but this is my boundary, you know, I'm not there anymore. Right. And then find a way not to rehash it and bring yourself to that low density vibration of where it turns into an argument. You know, it's very, because it, you know, it's just another learning experience, another opportunity.
And just to piggyback off of that, just realizing that we're all different people in different spaces in our mind at different times, and we all handle being shut in different ways. You know, I was thinking about like we're all, it's like 7 of us in here, and me, I'm a little older. I have children, so at this point, you know, I'm used to being in the house. I'm used to, you know, having to sit down and do my schedule and my priorities, and maybe not running around so much. But then my 19-year-old, you know, he's like, I gotta get outside, you know. So, you know, so it's, you know, just being mindful that we're all in different places, different spaces, and just making sure that, like you said, we're respectful of each other's spaces, you know, making sure that everybody has their own little nook and cranny that we leave to them, and let that be theirs, so that even if we do have to go into different corners, even if it's all in the same room, we do have a respected space that we say, this is my line, do not cross it. Come back and talk to me once I've, you know, leveled my mind back to the, you know, to regular. So
yeah, and acceptance, that's a big word. I think you know, and that's part of it. The acceptance is accepting that, you know, I'm sure, I know my partner doesn't want to be told all the time, hey, you know, you need to change some things. You got, you know, hey, what, you liked me when we met, what's going on here?
Right. Right. Nobody do, right?
Acceptance is a huge part, because acceptance is the surrenderance of the programming. It's like, that's the egoic surrenderance, to be able to accept what is and not have to change anything. Because you know, that's where we get into a lot of trouble with interacting with people on an intimate level, on a professional level, or whatever, is this expectation of someone needing to be like we are. And it's like, you know, we all process information differently, but we all feel the same things. So recognizing that creates a bridging gap between the separation of our consciousness. So it's like, whoa, you know, you're seeing things differently, I'm seeing things differently, but really we're feeling the same thing. And so it's like being able to bring everything back around full circle, like living in a household full of people. Like, you know, you can set up boundaries, but if you have that expectation that these people are going to respect those boundaries, then you may get yourself in trouble. So basically, it's like boundaries can set up walls, which can cause distortion.
Accepting what the perception of your boundary is, too.
That's right.
You don't quite get it, do you?
Well, I guess we got to take it one step at a time.
Full surrenderance over here. Full surrenderance. Yes, exactly.
Beautiful.
Well, it's been awesome, you guys.
It has been.
I'm
Very
so
nice to meet you
excited.
all, by the way.
You too.
Yeah, Same
you
here.
too,
It's
Dee.
good to
Welcome.
have you.
Yeah.
Be sure that you stay in touch with us on social media.
Yes.
We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on not that much, but we're definitely on Facebook. Castle Age, I think, and Age Institution is the
Ka
Facebook.
age, ka. Okay, ka.
The website is castleageinstitution.com. You can connect with us all there. We have a lot of great things to look forward to in the near future. We're so excited to watch the chat room grow. We hope next week we'll
Yes.
have even more people.
Yes.
And
The more the merrier.
exactly.
Yeah, this was great, guys.
So many
This was a lot of
viewpoints. So
fun.
awesome. Mhm.
Yeah,
And
this
we'll,
was really great.
we'll have topics in mind, but I think that this is a great, way that this is a great format, starting with a topic and just kind of letting it flow where it goes, because we kind
Yeah.
of build off of each
Magic.
other, and right. And I think we've all
Synchronicities.
Yes.
gotten something from this conversation
Mhm.
this evening. So
I'm wondering, excuse me, I'm wondering if you could type in the link.
Sure, to the website.
Yeah, Ka. I'm assuming
Yes.
because I see Ka over there.
Yeah.
It's to my right. Left. I don't know where
You figured it
see
out.
everybody else.
There it is.
There's the link to the website.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank
That's
you,
helpful.
Fiona.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Fiona.
Nice meeting you all.
Yes,
It's been a
please
great
connect with
conversation.
us,
here.
and please, we'll see you hopefully again next week.
Yes.
Sunday, 7 p.m. East. Let me see, we gotta break it in. It's 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, Pacific. I don't know what's in between, and then over there in Hawaii,
1 o'clock here,
where
1
Lori
o'clock
is.
in Hawaii.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm in
and I'm sure
California,
once we go across the pond, it's going to be a different time too. I know we
Oh,
have
yeah.
people
Yeah.
over like England and Australia too, so I'm
Right.
excited. Be sure to tell a
Yes.
friend, bring a friend into the conversation, and take some of these thoughts back with you into the week.
Oh, absolutely.
Higher frequencies, show love, support, and be sure to stay grounded, everybody.
Great. Thank you for that. Yeah, there's 11 participants, as a matter of fact. So that's a pretty
That
good
is
number.
awesome.
I think we had 16. Woo woo, we had 16 at one time, so that's
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, so
All right, then.
guys. Have
Thanks
a great
again.
evening. See
I'll
you
keep
all
my
next
eyes
Aloha,
open.
everybody. Love you.
All right, everybody stay
Bye-bye.
blessed.
week. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.